Hey guys, so we're here for another new shooter series video, and this one is on how to safely ship your black powder gun or any long gun at all. And if you've ever been on the forums, you've read horror stories about buying a gun that was shipped to you in a cardboard box wrapped in, bubble wrap or a blanket or whatever, and then you get it and it's crunched and the wrist is broken. So you don't want that, especially if you have any kind of money at all invested in your gun. You basically need plywood, 1/4 inch plywood, and 1x4s. That's it. We're just going to build a crate. So real simple to make these. It's 1x4s, a frame of 1x4s capped on the top and bottom with plywood and just screwed on. So let's get over here, get putting this thing together, and then we'll pack it up. So we'll see you in a second. So you saw in the fast forwarded video at the beginning, me cutting these. You need table saw, chop saw. You can do it with a circular saw just as well. So you need a straight edge and draw a line, especially on the plywood, and then circular saw it. And you can do that if you don't have a table saw or a chop saw. So I cut these 64 inches, and that will work for a majority of guns. I've got some that are 68 inches that work for my longer ones. So depending on what you're doing, build it to fit. And make sure, give it 2 or 3 inches on either side of the gun, maybe 4 inches on either side of the gun, just so you can pad that. And we'll do that in a bit. So if you're not good at math, go ahead and cut your 2 main boards at 64. You want it to be about 10 inches wide. So it's going to be 3.5 inches deep with the 1x4, but you want it about 10 inches wide. So cut your long ones to length, cut your side ones to 8.5. These are 3/4 inches wide. Cut them to 8.5, and then screw it together, and you've got a 10-inch box. And if you're not certain how to do it, just get, or certain you can do that accurately, cutting everything at once, build your box, measure your box, and then cut your plywood to fit. So first thing we're going to do is drill out the ends, because these sheetrock type screws will crack the end of pine or poplar or whatever you're building your box out of. All right, so got it screwed together. It doesn't take any time at all to do this. So just a couple screws in the end. You can put a third one in there, and you've got your box. So if I did my math right, the bottom gets screwed right on. So we'll do that real quick and just run about 10 screws around the perimeter and get this bottom on. All right, so got the bottom on. We've got ourselves a crate. So now the gun goes in. And what you want to do is you want to pad this gun. Now, really important, percussion or flintlock, you want to take the lock off, put it in a separate bag, and pad it and put it in a gap in the box here. So we're going to grab the gun that we're going to load up and get her packed in. So what we're shipping today is an original 1842 Springfield. This one was made in Harper's Ferry, so it's technically an 1842 Harper's Ferry, but it's a Springfield pattern, and it's going to go right in here. What we want to do, and we've taken the lock off, so I've got the lock in a separate baggie, put the screws and the side plate. If the side plate wants to fall off, like one of these, it's not glued in or inletted so tight that it stays, then just go ahead and take the side plate, put it on the screws, and put that all together and put it in a separate bag. All right, so bubble wrap. Now you can, depending on how you want to do this, you can, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm glad that I thought of that, is I'm going to put this in a gun sock. So just a long sock, you can get them on Amazon or whatever for a couple of bucks a piece. Buy them in a 6-pack or whatever. So we're going to put this in a gun sock to give it a little bit of padding and a little bit of protection, so it's not coming in contact with that bubble wrap. Just like that. Now the thing you want to be aware of when you wrap this, and I only wrap it in a couple places, wrap it on the barrel and wrap it around about the lock, is you need to put enough bubble wrap around it that it pinches into the box and holds your gun steady, so it doesn't want to shift around in transit. So you don't want it rattling around. So just do a couple of wraps so they're pinched in, and it's going to keep it from banging. And we'll put a little piece of tape on this bubble wrap, keep it from unspooling on us. And we'll come up here around the lock and do exactly the same thing. And piece of tape. And now we take our styrofoam, just a couple layers deep, enough to get this binding up on our gun real good. And I like to take the last piece where the barrel goes through, punch a hole in it, and shove some little pieces that I broke off down in there to help bind that up and hold it. Same thing on this side. Put your little pieces in there. Sometimes a ball of bubble wrap works better. So the gun is stable. We'll get the lock. Now on the lock, go ahead and get a Sharpie and write lock on this bubble wrap. It's hard to write on bubble wrap, but something like that, and put that in there. So we're done. I'll get you a closer look here. So once that top is on, this is going to be braced. It's braced up against pieces of styrofoam, and this end has 3 or 4 pieces of styrofoam pressing it all together. So this gun is immovable. And you'll see that's riding a little high. So we want to put our screws in. Make sure we're on straight. we'll continue on screwing this down just like we did the bottom. All right, so now we've got a crated up gun. So it's in there solid and ready to go. I'm gonna run a few more screws in a couple places here that's wanting to bow. All right, so we're done, it's screwed together. The last thing I do, and I do this for the sake of the postal workers and for a little added security, is I will cover all the edges with duct tape. And what that'll do is that'll hide the screws, so it won't show that it's screwed together, give any knucklehead an idea. And it'll also protect the postal worker from splinters. Now, what I do, and I'm not gonna show you, but on the top of this crate, where you're gonna put your shipping information, somewhere over here with a Sharpie, I like to write fragile glass tubes. It's a logical thing that glass tubes would ship in, something like this. But it's also obviously a thing that guns are shipped in. So I like to write big letters, fragile glass tubes, write fragile all over it. All right, so finished, ready to head to the new owner. Safe for the postal workers' hands, no splinters. Ready to take it to the post office. We'll see you.